Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day and enjoying the show. Quite the scenario here today for Bitcoin for starters. It came all the way down to 92,300, and of course Solana wicked as low as 175. So congrats to those who got in at some nice little limit orders there. I got my 185 filled. I feel pretty good about that. Just based on that being a previous resistance, that should work as a new support level for us. It's the first time it's been tested. We'll see here soon, of course, but at this point, still pretty decent in the overall sense. Now, again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're still in a descending trend. Solana, it definitely looks fully bearish. But on the same accord, we're getting into some of those previous resistance ranges that haven't been tested yet. So the anticipation is that this 170 to roughly 185 range should provide us a really strong support range for us. And so far, it's held pretty well. Granted, Bitcoin recovered really nice here. It's it's up almost 5,000 from like 92 to 97K on the day. Ever since it hit its bottom. So there's that as well. But anyways, no matter how you look at it, we're just going to kind of look at this abstractly here. No bias at all. And we just kind of see where we're going to go next. Because based on its local history here, there's a lot of reasons why we should be getting close to our tentative bottom, but we also want to double check a few important factors. So we do take a look here. A lot of late shorts got destroyed here recently. This is the last 12 hours on the left-hand side, by the way. This is only like, one half of a trading day here, but ever since the price came down as low as 175, most of those shorts just got absolutely destroyed. So again, you want to be careful holding on to a short for too long. You have to secure profits if you're going to take shorts more specifically than longs, based on the simple fact that there's more risk inherently. Okay. Now you can still have the same amount of risk on a long. It's just that there's no limit to how high a price can go, and there is a limit to how low a price can go. So that's why shorts are more risky. Having said that, though, at this point, no matter how you look at it, low leverage is probably going to be king, so that way you don't have to worry about this garbage here. So suffice to say, 195 is that next little area there, and there's not a lot of liquidation upwards past 200. My anticipation is that we're going to see a lot of resistance at 200 now, just based on that being kind of a round number. A lot of times those areas can be solid supports or resistances, depending on which side you're on. Okay, we look at the macro here on the right-hand side, not too much to extract there. Let's quickly glance at the last 7 days and see where we're at with liquidation. This looks a little bit more intense than it should. Let's go ahead and dull that down. We can see here, not a ton of liquidation, honestly. Again, just above 200, we can see a little bit left there. So we do see a retest that $200 range, probably 203, 205 gets a quick little wick up and then back down. But we got to treat that like a resistance just based on how the price action performed in that range. All right, having said that, liquidation delta kind of implies we have more people taking shorts than longs, but that's starting to balance itself out, which is a very, very good sign. In my personal opinion, you typically see shifts in momentum occur when this happens. I'm not saying Solana is going to break bullish by any stretch, but I am saying here that we might actually be range bound in the 185 to 200 range, which would be awesome. And if so, we establish a firm foundation of volume concurrent with the previous point of control. We should be in good shape. Let's take a look here at open interest. We can see we can look a little bit more locally. Some folks are pretty heavy about 185, 180, 180, 181. So good news is the majority of those folks are in profit there. So congrats on anyone who took a long in the sub 185 range and or at 185. That's probably a pretty good average price in my personal opinion. Of course, that's for now. The overall sentiment for Bitcoin is still bearish, you got to recognize. But once more, Solana is getting into that massive support range. Now I'll explain what I mean by that and why that's relevant. Take a look here, though, at the daily, just to kind of get a foundation or a preface here. We're below all the important moving averages, right? The 20 and the 50. So honestly, until the price action can recover somehow and get above this level, I would say at the very least a closure of 203, 205 or higher. There's no reason to consider a long. Okay. Now, again, I know it seems kind of contradictory because I added to my spot bag at 185. But that's a different story. You got to understand that spot is much different scenario than leverage trading. Okay, most of my analysis here is anticipating that you're going to take leverage because that's just what people are addicted to, right? And again, I like leverage too, don't get me wrong, but it's only 5x leverage on altcoins, 10x on Bitcoin and ETH. I just have a strict no adjustment policy for that, and it works really well for me and my personality type, right? You got to find what works best for you, but if you're sick and tired of getting liquidated, you probably should stop doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Maybe even join our trading academy. I have a pretty good little system in place, and a lot of folks have found benefit. A lot of our graduates are full-time traders now, so congrats to you. Let's take a quick look here, though, at the daily time frame. We can recognize that we're getting closer to 30, potential bouncing point or pivot point, so I think we're tentatively discovering our bottom here soon. The likelihood of further downside is becoming lower. We see the money inflow index is low, of course, but that's taken into consideration. We've seen more selling pressure over the last 14 days than prior 14 days. So it's really just kind of averaging itself out naturally. We can see stochastic and MACD all diverging. So there's literally nothing here minus the 200 and the 100-day SMA that's kind of like saying, hey, we're in good shape. All right, so 170 is that 0.618 fib level. Again, this is more of a macro fib level here based on this extension from beginning to from low to high, right? However, the 100-day SMA is right here at 181, basically 185. So the easy round numbers to remember is 185 and 170. Okay, I'm rounding up a little bit on those, but that's pretty much what you're looking for. Okay, so those are good dollar cost average targets. Having said that, let's take a quick look at the 4-hour time frame and just recognize that we're below all moving averages. Bitcoin's the same way, nothing spectacular to see here. Money flow index and RSI are pivoting, which is normal. That's pretty standard there. Stochastic swinging up. Honestly, there's nothing here that's positive, really. There's no other way around it. So again, buying the dip is one thing, but taking a high leverage or even a medium leverage type of trade, 10, 20, 30x, that's still bad news on a coin like this, because there's no guarantee Bitcoin is going to recover and hold the line. It wants to, but unless we get a closure above 97, 97.5 today, I really don't think we're going to see a lot of upside this weekend. We'll see altcoins start to slowly increase, and as a matter of fact, if we look at Bitcoin dominance, which I haven't yet, it is starting to pull back over the last 8 hours, right? So that's good news. It basically does imply that as Bitcoin goes sideways and down a little bit, alts are starting to go sideways and up, right? So they're starting to hit their bottom, which is good. So in the overall sentiment, I think that's very positive, but again, not a reason to use any kind of high risk. Again, if it's money you're willing to lose, it's a different story. Have some fun with it. By all means, you should have fun with crypto, but just don't think that, everything that the Moon Boys say or somebody that says this is just going to go straight up because they have an emotional attachment to the coin, that it should not be trustworthy whatsoever. And just know that that's not what trading is all about. Trading is just being, well refined, learning from your mistakes, writing everything down, and understanding that, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. So why risk your entire portfolio based on that? Like, there are people using 50, 60% of their total portfolio on a single trade. You know how terrible that is? You know how many people probably got their assets literally handed to them in the last couple of days, right? Like, if we take a stop loss on our committee, which we didn't, we closed a BNB trade a little early. The truth though is, if you use low leverage, you're not going to take a big hit, and if you use low position size, it's also the same. So in other words, when we had to close out at one of our stops, our trades early, we actually walked away still okay because it wasn't detrimental at all. It was a small percent of our portfolio. So anyways, those are just ways that I trade. You don't necessarily have to do that, but if you're getting tired of getting creamed all the time, then maybe consider changing or adjusting your strategy. If we look here, though, we got to zoom in pretty close. We can see everything here is still fully bearish. So there's not a single scenario here that lets us know that we're back on track and that you should take it long. Literally nothing we've seen here so far tells us that. Now, that's usually when the price tends to recover and does pretty well in a lot of cases. So you got to recognize you're going to miss some opportunities by waiting on the sidelines. But what we need to have happen here is we need to have this descending type of trend discontinued, right? And again, I'm just drawing lines on the chart here at this point, but we're in a descending trend, okay? So the first thing we want to see is the price action establish a range, right? It's generally the step number 2 of trend reversal. And step number 3 is identifying when it is establishing higher highs and higher lows, right? That's when you want to get in, is once you've broken a descending trend, you've established higher highs and higher lows, and prior to that, ideally, not always present, is some kind of range-bound activity, okay? Basically retesting supports, proving that is a level that's going to hold. So that's kind of where we're at there. We're way too premature, way too early here to tell. So again, if anyone says otherwise, I think that you may want to scratch your head a little bit and think a little bit more clearer. And again, try not to FOMO in too hard. Spot bags is one thing, folks, but high leverage trades is a total another story. All right, I'll post a playout chart here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord shortly. Looks like this if you haven't already been following. And then, of course, we've also got a pretty phenomenal opportunity here with Bitunix this month, $12,000 deposit bonus. Feel free to use our link to register, or my link to register, so you can benefit from any future trading bonus or competition. We have them pretty much monthly. Like last month was a $60,000 prize pool. I'm very curious what's happening next month. Either way, thanks again, Bitunix, for the awesome opportunity for our community, and thank you too for being a great part of my life. I look forward to seeing the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.